Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Contumacious Ann.
And me, Atreya.
And today we are going to be bringing you breaking news. Well, not breaking news, I'll be honest with you, but it's probably been done to death by now. But we're going to talk about the...
Summit's broke, but it's not news.
Yeah, it's broke big time. The submersible that went missing over the past few days. Well, it's not gone missing, we know where it is. But yeah, as soon as I heard this, I didn't actually think it was a real thing.
What do you mean?
So, I thought it was just like a one of them ROV things.
What, an ROV went?
Yeah, I just thought it was like they were going down.
Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, because I didn't think anybody would be that stupid, to be quite honest.
Like, they're sending the Coast Guard, they're sending people from France, Germany, the UK, everywhere to find this ROV. It's so important. Maybe it had little googly eyes or something. It was like Wally sat at the bottom of the ocean and people were just like, we can't leave it sat there.
Exactly, I thought it was Boaty McBoatface and he'd gone missing.
Right, okay, makes a bunch of sense. Let's send billions in a rescue and get the world involved.
Well, that's it. And I mean, so I didn't really know what was going on until like the day after, I suppose. But yeah, it's weird. Why would you want to do that?
I don't know. So I know that, I think 2 of the members on board were part of the Explorers Club. And if you watch Josh Gates, you'll know all about the Explorers Club. In fact, he actually did an episode where he takes you inside their headquarters. It's like Croft Manor. It's amazing.
Yeah, that
so cool.
That as well. It's 2023. Like, if you're part of an Explorers Club, you're just a trust fund person, really. That's
Dude,
all I've got
I
to
want to
say
be
about
part
it.
of the Explorers Club.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm too scared to climb the climbing frame in PE at school, but not that I'm at school. That'd be creepy.
Okay, so we're going to be doing, in an upcoming episode, Percy Fawcett. Now, back then, that was an Explorers Club. That was, like, beginning...
It's the same Explorers Club.
Yeah, but nothing was discovered back then. I mean, today...
He discovered Titan Aboa. What are you talking about, man? It was in the jungle. He just didn't have a camera.
Yeah. But... No, yeah, so Percy Fawcett did all that. But today, what are you going to discover? Like, what?
Well, they've been down the Mariana Trench. Josh Gates, if you watched any of his shows at all, you would find he discovers, when the Nazis nicked everybody's treasure, and then they built them, underground tunnels and stuff, and then they carted it all to some dead railway station somewhere.
Yeah. In Poland.
Josh has dug down and found tunnels that have been undiscovered that were the Nazis dug, and then they filled over and stuff. Oh my god, he goes to some amazing places.
Did he find the gold?
He did not find.
Well, then you see exactly. Trust fund kid. And he can't find a gold.
Explorer, not a treasure hunter.
I mean, they're one and the same thing, really, aren't they?
They're not one and the same.
I mean,
they're not.
You may as well just put on treasure hunter, explorer, works for British Museum. Literally, they're all one and the same thing. Go around stealing stuff.
Well, okay, so one of the guys who was on there, he went to the Mariana Trench. That's exploration.
So, yeah, I'm going to guess that that's Paul Henry Najala.
Yes.
And he owns the rights, or he owned, past tense, owned the rights to the Titanic wreck.
Did he really?
Yeah. So that's why...
How?
His company. So basically, before he started being an explorer, he worked for like I say, I've done no research. I have just been looking at Reddit and the news about this. But Paul Henry worked for the French government in some kind of exploring capability, and he was basically his work colleagues have said he was the go-to source on everything Titanic. And somehow, once he left there, he started up this company of being an explorer. And he actually, the company, he owns the rights to the Titanic. So I don't understand how that works. Maybe someone can help me, or maybe I've seen it on Reddit and it's not factually correct. But
That
it just.
I mean, don't the ocean liner company still own the rights to the wreck?
I mean,
or is it because they've been bust for so long that they?
Yeah.
Does Silver Star actually still exist?
I mean, they didn't.
Is it even the Silver Star?
They didn't have a great record, did they? Really? Come on now.
They didn't. In fact, do you know what? How cool is this, right? So, you know the Titanic's sister, the Olympia?
Well, now, yes, we've talked all about that, haven't we?
We have. That was actually the Titanic, and it was a big insurance fraud, and they were switched and stuff. So it's actually the Olympia at the bottom of the ocean, not the Titanic. Or is it the Olympic? Regardless. The one that isn't the Titanic...
Now I'm confused.
They're...
Yeah, go on.
Is it the Olympic or the Olympia? I think it's...
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever. So the dining room for that was in that cruise ship, after it was decommissioned, that dining room is now in a pub down the road from me. They reconstructed the dining room.
Wow, that is actually quite cool.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, that is cool.
I mean, so why did they go? Why? So I get some of them were part of the Explorers Club, and they were like, hey, we really want to see the Titanic wreck. Like, you did tiny little window.
But it's not even a window. It's a screen. So they're looking at a screen that's...
I thought it had a little porthole window.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have any windows on it. This is the thing. Where that porthole is at the front, that you think, it's just the where the screen is. So they've got to look at the screen to look at the Titanic. So they may as well just be sat in front of a computer.
This is my thought.
On the boat that's in the water. Like, well, not even in the water. They could have been in Newfoundland, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
And they paid
£250. How? Well, so yeah, £195,000.
Yeah.
$250,000 to sit in a essentially tin can at the bottom of the ocean, knowing full well you might not make it back up. You've signed a waiver that mentioned the word death 3 times. You've been told if something goes wrong, we can't send help. You're too far down. Josh Gates won't get on board. Right, if Josh Gates won't get on board, I ain't going nowhere near it, right? If Josh says it's not safe, I ain't going.
Yeah.
Simple.
And even the guy that built it, Stockton Rush, who was on the submarine, turned around and said, "You're remembered for the rules you break, and I broke a lot to get here."
Well, he's the CEO,
Yeah,
isn't he?
yeah. So
this was my thought, right? So I was like, when we were talking about it earlier, I was thinking like Dave was saying, oh, he broke so many rules and he didn't test it properly and all this kind of stuff. And my mind was kind of thinking, oh, maybe he was just trying to get money out of people, like quick get rich quick scheme kind of thing. And then I was like, but he was on there, so he must have thought that it was fine, or he wouldn't have got on it, would he?
You see, this is a problem with him because he wanted innovative people to work for him. So he'd go out, and again, I've seen it on Reddit, there's emails, but whether they're real emails or they're just like, do you know what I mean, made up. But
Reddit.
Yeah, someone emailed, like he was emailing someone, and basically he was saying, I'm not getting on board. What was it? Because he was using carbon fibre, and carbon fibre
hasn't been stress tested, has it?
No, not at all.
Well, certainly not the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, not to go down that deep. And he was basically kind of saying like, it's thinking out the box. This is going to be innovative. We're going to change the way the submersible world is looking at us. And the guy emailed back and said, "Mate, I've been a submersible engineer for like 20 years, and I've been in a coroner's court where I've had to give evidence because stuff like this has backfired massively. And I have to tell you, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want anything to do with this." And he still went ahead and fucking did it. So, I mean, like...
I just can't get my head around it. I mean, I am obsessed. I'm not obsessed with the Titanic, but I'm really fascinated by the Titanic. But I don't want to go 2 miles underwater to see it.
No.
We don't know what's down there. You take your own life into your own hands when you go into the sea. No matter in what capacity you go in, you don't know what's down there. You've seen all these people, like that guy, was he a kayaker or a paddleboarder or something, that got accidentally swallowed by a humpback whale and spat back out again?
Yeah.
You get the people who are whale watching that get accidentally like thingied by sperm
Yeah.
whales, like upturned in their kayaks. And then you think, okay, so even if I'm not getting attacked by whales, or like even seals can drag you underwater and drown you. You got sharks. Even if you don't think about any kind of like life out there, you think, well, you get stung by a jellyfish.
Yeah.
You could step on a sea urchin.
This is it.
Like,
I mean, there's so many things that can kill you in the sea at surface level. Never mind when you're going down into pressures that you can't even comprehend. It's just.
And what are they hoping to see? Like, clearly, because it's so dark down there, it's like as soon as they touch the bottom, it's going to kick up loads of dust.
Yeah.
So that's going to obscure the vision anyway. So they're not really going to see anything. They can't get out and walk around.
No.
So it's not like they can't go inside the Titanic, because that was part of the... Was that part of the deal or something? They can't go inside?
Yeah, they wouldn't. I don't think they'd be able to get inside.
It wouldn't have fit,
Yeah.
Technically, it's a gravesite. I don't know whether they were hoping to see skeletons or something, but long gone by now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not...
The Titanic itself is only going to last another 30 years before it apparently is going to disintegrate completely.
So, what...
Just stick to the 3D scans and the like. Okay,
just go to Blockbuster and hire it out, for God's sake. I mean...
Well, this is a thing James Cameron said as well, didn't he? He was like, I knew there was something wrong with that. Nope. Do
you know what? I was actually going to go off on that when I seen James Cameron commenting, and I was like, what the... And then you actually look and go, no, you know what? He actually has done all this. He is a submersible expert. He's gone down to the Mariana Trench. He's devoted most of his life, if not all of his life, being obsessed. Like, one of his first films back in the 80s was The Abyss. Do you know what I mean? So he's been obsessed with the depths. So
he's done his research.
Yeah, he does know what he's fucking talking about. And when James Cameron is going, yeah, something's up there, then obviously, do you know what I mean? Even though you can laugh and go, oh no, well, he's not an expert. He kind of fucking is at the end of the day.
Well, he's sent ROVs down there, hasn't he? Like, because he had videos from the 90s and stuff, didn't he? So he knows the situation.
I think he's been.
I
think he's been to the Titanic himself.
Has he?
I think so. I can't remember. I know people have been. I think Paul Henry has been.
Just not on a tourist
as well,
capacity.
But in a proper submersible, like for research and stuff. And this is the thing. These guys have been in that situation before. Do you know what I mean? When he was getting on into that tube, because all that is a fucking tube, you can't even open the door from the inside. Obviously,
that's worrying.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good thing, because when you get down to them depths and someone has a panic attack and try and open the door, you know, it could cause problems. But the thing is, when he saw the Logitech controller, did he not go, that isn't even Xbox? But it was like, fucking hell, Grand Theft Auto before we get down there. I mean...
It looked, do you know what it is, right? When we were at the market the other day, when it was proper Dodge market, you know, the ones where they sell like awful
I know,
yeah. Right? We were at the market and they were selling, and the box, right, looked identical to a PlayStation DualSense box when you buy the controller, right? And it had written on it, it was like Sunny or something, like SUNY, not Sony, and it was like DuoSense. And I picked it up and I said to Dave, look, I'm going to get you a Sony DuoSense. It's only £15. And he had to double take, because at first he thought he was getting a great deal on a PlayStation controller. And then he was like, and then when we actually looked inside, it just looked like that. So it's not even, like you say, it's not even like an expensive controller. This is like...
Yeah, this is it.
It's something you give to your kid brother you don't trust your PlayStation
Exactly. They've ordered it off fucking Wish. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck's sake. I mean...
And like... It's a horrible situation, and I know there's been some really rotten videos on YouTube and TikTok, and loads of people all over Twitter. I mean, Twitter is the place for hate. Anyway. Yeah. I enjoy Twitter, but I do think it's a place for hate. And there's people that will be like, I hope they're dead. I hope they die. Not like, they're still human beings at the end of the day. It's an awful thing, and if they hadn't died instantaneously in the implosion, that's a horrible way to go.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, like we were saying, even in the Discord before, like, you were saying, like, well, Nova was saying, but imagine leading up onto that. Like, obviously we don't know when it happened yet, but I don't think they were down there longer for what we were talking about to happen. But imagine if they were, and there was like a corner you couldn't go near because it was full of defecation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, they had a toilet.
Yeah, but that's the thing as well. And what I did see as well, actually, on Twitter, which was kind of not hateful about it, and I'm not one of them people that's like eat the rich or anything, but I can kind of see why people are not making fun, but are gloating about this. Do you know what I mean? Because it, like we said, £200,000 to go down on this submarine, to basically go and see a graveyard. Mm-hmm. Do you know what? It's. Yeah,
I don't wish like death on anybody. Yeah. Well, maybe like 2 people, but would never wish death on these people. And what happened to them is horrible, and it should never have happened to anybody. And God rest their souls. But that smacks of more money than sense, except for the young kid,
the 19-year-old. I think I mean that's the guy that I really feel bad for in this, because he had another like 30-40 years of getting fat off his dad's trust fund. Do you know what I mean? So he had all his life to lead, and it's a shame. The other people on the boat had gone through that stage, and they got to a stage in life where this is what they wanted to spend their money on, not.
And nothing left to buy other than, let's go and see the Titanic.
Exactly. And
we've been to space.
It's not even having the notion of, is there anything I can do for my community, for outside of it? Maybe they all have got standing orders to starving Ethiopians or whatever, and maybe they did give something back. But we're at this place now in society, I think, where people are having to make this choice of, we want to eat the rich, just because the way the working class is, the way the cost of living crisis is going, the way everything seems to be media engineered against millennials, like housing crisis is going on, we've got food crisis and this and that, and I think it's easy to drive wedges. So when somebody has a little bit of money, it's easier to laugh at them and go, you've had you come on bad times kind of thing. Because you just want to, like, not concentrate on what you've got in the fridge or what you've not got in the fridge kind of thing, or where your next paycheck's going to come from. And it's sad that we've kind of got to this situation where this as well, the coverage of it was 5 rich people who went down in their own, they knew what they were getting into. They went down there on their own, were on their own steam, knew what they were getting into, and yet, how much is this fucking rescue costing the taxpayer?
So, you know what it is, right? This is what I was going to say. So, I don't think it's got so much coverage because they're rich people. I think it's got so much coverage because the word Titanic is involved. If all those poor migrants that were lost on a boat had been lost on a boat near the Titanic...
Yeah.
Titanic sells.
Yeah.
Titanic is sensational. Everybody's fascinated by the Titanic. I think the reason now that we're spending billions on a rescue mission is because now it's gone too far. So we blew this story up because it involved the word Titanic, and we made everything about all these people, and we played off this story. Oh shit, now we actually need to go find them.
Something about it. Because...
Yeah, we've blown this up now, so we can't not go and find them. Do you know what I mean? I feel like if the story was reversed and it was a bunch of poor people who had got lost on a fishing boat or something like that, if they got lost around the Titanic, it would have been the same coverage.
Yeah.
Just because it's Titanic.
Yeah.
That's literally, I feel like that's all it is.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that...
I mean, it makes it easier for people to hate rich people, so it makes it easier for the story to then explode again and keep getting bigger and bigger.
Of course.
But I think the bottom line is Titanic.
Yeah. And yeah. No, yeah, that is actually a fair point there. I didn't think about it like that. but it will sell. It will get you clicks, and it'll go through. It's going to be one of the hashtags on here. So
because people are obsessed with Titanic. You know what I mean?
It is. It's one of them things, and again, people love the Titanic so much they go to see it and implode themselves.
And it's not even like the worst maritime disaster, you know. It's, I mean, there was one. Did you ever hear about the steamboat, the paddle steamboat? It was taking people to this massive fair in, I think it was the 1800s or something like that, and it was weighed down so much because all of these people wanted to go to this fair that it literally sank in the middle of a lake, and like, I think it was something stupid like 3,000 people died or something. Much more people than were on the Titanic.
Yeah.
So many more people died, and you never hear about it. To the extent I can't. I've heard the story. I watched the video on YouTube. I can't even remember its name because it hasn't been so sensational.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not even the greatest tragedy. It's just how sensational it is.
Yeah. Everything that was should have been unsinkable. The biggest boat to ever sail, and nowadays, compared to the Caribbean cruises that you see, it was tiny in comparison. But yeah, I think Titanic is. It's got that mystique about it that people will be willing to spend £200,000 to go and see without giving the once over to the submarine. And this is the thing as well, because it had no windows on it, they didn't even need to go down. They could have just like, if Stockton Rush was like just try to earn money, he could have pretended and had the pictures imported. He could
have sat them in a simulation.
Exactly. He could have just gone down to 200 foot
land.
And been like, we're nearly there, lads. Let's look at the screen now.
He could have just blindfolded them and said, it's a secret location, we can't show you whereabouts we're taking you, and like, you know, just walk them to a warehouse in a parking lot somewhere and then guided them into this simulation. It would have been exactly the same. But no, I mean, do you remember that remember last year when that submarine went missing? They lost contact with it. It had all those, was it the Marines or something on board, like proper to do with the army, like, or the Navy or something like that, and there was 80 of them or something. And the coverage was pretty big for about 3 days, and then everybody's forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And those are pretty important people, so it's not like we're forgetting the migrants because they're poor people or whatever. Again, these were important people. This was a big deal. Didn't involve the Titanic.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well with the 24-hour news and the cycles of news that we have nowadays. There's always something that's going to come up, and losing 30 migrants is a big story in itself, but then the next day Russia's having a civil war, so that's going to take precedent over it. I mean, even though Russia is having a civil war, we're still talking about the Titanic because it's got that cachet of clickbait kind of thing.
And I guess this is not the sort of thing that happens very often, so you always, and as sad as it is and as terrible as it is, you hear a lot about migrant boats getting lost or overturning and people drowning, and this is
desensitized to it.
This happens all the time. Yeah. People getting stuck at the bottom of the Titanic to end up in a wreck alongside a wreck is kind of ironic.
It is. It's the cliches that are all in this story, which is the way that it's getting. It's getting press, and it is just going to keep on going. Obviously, we can guess as to what happened. There was an implosion, and it's just didn't. The pressure was far too much for it. But
I mean, have you seen it? There's like a AI simulation about how the implosion would have looked at the bottom of the ocean, and it literally. So here's your canister. It just goes.
Yeah.
So it just explodes into a billion pieces. And apparently it would be hotter than the surface of the sun in there at the moment of implosion, and then it just kind of explodes.
Yeah.
As opposed to just kind of being like a Stella can that you stand on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just staying like flat. It explodes. So they're on about recovering these bodies. Like,
there's
how?
Nothing.
There's nothing to recover.
There's nothing there.
You don't recover the the body of somebody who stepped on a grenade or a mine. There's nothing to recover.
Yeah.
So we're spending billions trying to recover bodies that aren't there anymore.
There's going to be nothing that we recover that's, well, I mean, I don't know, but I doubt there's going to be anything that's going to help us learn as to what happened. We pretty much all know what happened. They went down in a tube that couldn't withstand the pressure. That's it. There's nothing more that you can learn. Just like safety is paramount in these things, and this is where corners were cut. I
mean, can you imagine the weight on top of that thing? The weight of the water 2 miles down, like Jesus Christ. Like, think about if you filled your bath, right, full of up to the top of water, and then try and move it. You couldn't move that.
Yeah.
You just couldn't. It's impossible. And that's a bath. That's about 8 litres of water.
Yeah. So basically, there's this story about the pressure that's in the sea, and bell divers, that they go down and then they work on rigging in electrical cables to the rigging and that. So they go down quite far. So they need a depressurized chamber to actually go in. Mm-hmm. And there's this one time it happened that as they were going in, somehow there was a hole in the glass, and literally it was less than half an inch wide, and a human body got pulled out of that hole. Like it.
Oh, did Mr. Borland do a story?
Yes.
Was it Mr. Borland?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, that was like a horrible way to go.
Yeah, I can't remember how it goes, but I think there was 4 people in there, and pretty much they all got pulled out of this little hole because the pressure was just so much when it hits normal. I mean, this is why you get the bends and stuff. You can't come up from that. And this is something that I think someone who is building a submersible should really know about. Do you know the stress?
Oh God, yeah.
The stress that this thing is gonna go under, and it shouldn't be. Oh, we'll just cut corners there and be innovative. It's like, no.
Because they did quite a few like test dives with it, didn't they? And people were saying that you're not supposed to do it with carbon fiber.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker until eventually it snaps.
So I did see on one of the test dives, they crashed it into a rock. And then because the thrusters were on backwards, so that was one of them. And then on another one, they were just going...
How did that even happen?
I don't know. On another one, they were just going round in circles because the Logitech controller gave up. They hadn't recharged batteries on it. So it was basically going round in circles until they turned the controller upside down and had to kind of invert control it. I mean, again, this is off Reddit, so I don't know how true that is, but I think it's kind of got some basis in truth with everything that you hear about the CEO of this company and stuff.
The whole thing was just a death trap.
Yeah, it was.
It was just a death trap.
It was.
It was a terrible idea. I hope nobody ever has an idea like it again. We don't know anything really about the ocean. We certainly don't know very much about the very bottom of the ocean. We haven't explored the majority of the ocean. So how about we just take little steps?
Yeah.
Maybe let's not start 2 miles down. Let's just work our way.
Yeah.
It's not like they go to the Mariana Trench every other day. So let's work our way up there before we decide to go swimming around in not only, 300 times the pressure that it is at the top of the surface, but also the currents and stuff were apparently really complex currents, and let's just not do it. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah. There's an ecosystem in itself down there, man. Like, just don't stop it.
I mean that.
Leave it to James Cameron.
That entire submersible was the submersible equivalent of that bunker in the meme you see that says "Come see my cat."
Yeah.
It's the submersible equivalent.
Yeah.
Like, you just know it's screaming at you to go, don't do it. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So it was a tragedy, but I think it was only sensationalized because Titanic.
I agree 100% there. I agree, and that's what's kept it alive as much as it has. I suppose, because if it was what they called Space Force, whoever they are, Elon Musk going to space. If it would have been, if like that would have blown up in the atmosphere. It would have been a couple of days of news and then gone. But because obviously, as you say, the Titanic adds cachet to it, and it's just clicks.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, hashtag Titanic. And on that bombshell.
Someone will do it again, you know they will. Someone will be like, but I can get it right and I'm going to prove it.
Yeah, I know where he went wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Napoleon when the Russian front, like Hitler thought he knew better than Napoleon, and it was exactly the same fucking thing. Exactly the same plan.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work.
Learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't make them again.
Exactly. It's the definition of madness, isn't it? Doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. It's like
Yeah.
But yeah. So on that bombshell, this has been the MO podcast with me, Contumacia Sant,
And me, Atreya.
and we shall see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast.